The process of accessing the deep mind, and especially the higher self, may be accomplished best, as we have often said, by repetitious, persistent, and daily meditation. Not lasting so long, but lasting as long as it feels as though you are in a holy place with the one infinite Creator. Thus, meditation is always the key to the opening of the shuttle from the subconscious or deep mind to the conscious mind. The higher self does not operate by giving instructions, for that would be an infringement of free will and would cause paradoxes within the universe that are not desired. However, the call must go forward within meditation, that you may be visited, strengthened, and renewed by a longer point of view, a vaster field of incarnations and of incarnational decisions. For, as each knows, there is no thing upon your planet which is as it seems. You are energy fields, complexes of energy field, with the energy holding you together, carrying you through life. It is well to be very kindly toward this physical vehicle, for it is the means by which the computer of the mind may gently enter data from the deeper self, the self unperceived even when praying or asking. Perhaps one day one awakens and knows what the proper or appropriate answer to a question may be. Perhaps it comes all of a sudden within meditation. There are as many ways to use the higher self as there are entities. Now, how does one make use of the higher self, this sixth density portion of you? The first thing that you must do is give up your physical reality. You are an illusion within an illusion. Mystery surrounds you. Consequently, as one asks for guidance from a deeper self, the higher self within, one opens a door that can only be opened by the seeker, since the higher self is a far more clear, lucid, and defined product of your thinking. Yet still you will find it most helpful to blend the conscious and rational mind with the deep mind, for they give you feelings and biases that are far more a part of whom we correct this instrument of who you are. What your essence is, than you may have by any amount of consideration of these matters within this illusion. Now, as each sits here, we shall attempt to give the process by which the higher self may be contacted. This is one way. There are many others. This is a way which we feel is simple and therefore easier to grasp. The first step is the acceptance and the forgiveness of the self within this illusion. It must be clear to each one that one cannot live purely in a world polluted by constant negative thoughts and perceptions, cynicism, and the ugly emotions of fear, terror, and the triumph of those who delight in terrorizing others. This is not the personality that you wish to use for that special time during which you are working within consciousness to accelerate the rate of your spiritual growth, to heighten your polarity and to move, may we say, forward. You do not need to gaze at the higher self as part of the self unless you wish. However, it is well to know that the higher self and you are timeless and whole and one. Now, to attain a magical personality, there is much which one can do and, indeed, must do to create the appropriate atmosphere for the gentle lover's touch of the rational mind into the deep mind. This is a slow process for many and infinitely worth it. Once one has been able to contact that part of the self that is sixth density, and which has given the gift back to you within the deep recesses of your mind, you may then have a much wider perspective, a much more clear vantage point from tell you how to which to view the life experiences which your incarnation brings to you. We caution each against attempting to live in the higher self mode for any length of time past which one cannot hold the concentration and the clarity which the tuning, the praying and the singing brings about. You cannot plunder your own higher self without doing damage to the quality of information which you receive. Consequently, in putting on the whole armor of light, as this instrument would say, and accepting the self which seems to be in the future, but is indeed yourself. As a good advisor, you are moving toward a centered position which will be most advantageous to you in using this deep and lovely resource of the mind. We say lovely because it is considerable effort, a labor of love, for the sixth density to create a thought form of all that it has. Experience it, the higher self or magical personality is placed deep within you. It is not placed without you. It is not placed within your teacher or your student or your colleague. The magical personality is an artifact of the self, the mystery-clad being whose entire experience is recognized to be mystery. We correct this. Instrument-mysterious. In preparation for the magical personality's development, the first thing which one needs to accomplish is a full and complete examination of conscience. Not that you as an entity may judge you as an entity not at all, but rather that you may forgive yourself, for you have forgiven all others, have you not? Yet still you hold yourself unworthy. This is not a helpful spiritual point of view, for the magical personality is based upon the fact that the spark of the Creator within is the true self of each entity. Therefore, to begin working with the magical personality, one must first go through much searching of the mind, put the intellect, the emotional biases that constitute that which you are at this time. This is not for the purpose of judgment, but for the purpose of grasping your essence at this time. Perhaps you wish to make changes. Perhaps you do not, but to come into contact with yourself as a self is the beginning of the magical personality. The day-to-day personality wavers. It is happy, it is sad, but 'tis active, it is passive. Life is easy or life is difficult, and all of this is within this illusion. The more attention paid to the difficulties of this illusion, the less likely it is that one will be able to have access to the deeper mind of the magical personality. So, we suggest to each that the table be cleared, the table of petty prejudice, any unfairness, stinginess, desire to manipulate others, and all of those artifacts whose bias is not helpful in gaining polarity towards service to others in the name of the Infinite One. This preparation takes a different amount due of time for different entities, and at the end of it, it is still impossible to live within the higher self at all times. However, it is possible to clear the self for the special and sacred door to the self to be opened. We suggest that each begin a magical personality, meditation with that which has been the call of a white or positive magician from time immemorial. I desire to know in order to serve. I desire to use my subconscious mind to enrich, enliven, enable, and engage this third density mind and heart. It is impossible for most to keep this clarity over an extended period of time, and there is danger in attempting to do so. Consider yourselves as toddlers, just learning to walk. The spirit so young, so lovely, so strong, and yet so vulnerable. This is how the magical personality sees the outer portion of your behavior and thinking. It is perceived as that of a child who knows not what he does. When one turns one's will and faith to the quest for the philosopher's gold of greater wisdom, then you may begin to see gradually a change within you. But firstly, you must accept that the magical personality is already your own personality. For all time is simultaneous. One good way to prepare oneself for meditation upon the magical personality is to visualize each chakra in turn, beginning with the red root chakra and moving upwards, carefully clearing energies, carefully seeing your chakra centers glowing: orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. When you have reached sufficient humility to be able to listen to advice from the higher self that is not easily understood to be other than the self, then we suggest that you begin with this clearing of the chakras, so that you feel the light streaming from your head, for you have opened all your chakras. You have become vulnerable. You are ready to take a risk. Firstly, there is a tremendous amount of protection of the body by the body, and we recommend to each that this be observed. For instance, this instrument blends the violet of the crown chakra and the red of the root chakra to cover the self with an energy that is completely personal and denotes that which one is. Upon completing this encapsulation of yourself in the red-violet of body protection, you will then put on a garment of light. That is the Creator's protection, impersonal, loving, and infinite. During the meditations, it is helpful for those who call upon guides or angelic presences to do so. For that work which you are doing is work in which you are vulnerable. For you are open to learning, and you do not always have truly appropriate vibrations for this energy. This must be seen too carefully. The self must be gotten in order, cleared of the small change of life's miseries, cleared even of the laughter of good times, clear to listen within to what has been called in your holy works the still small voice. That is your magical personality. It is well to call any whom you wish to call to aid in your protection. This is not an illusion any more than you are an illusion within.